our show. Together we serve. Welcome to our show. Sit back and enjoy. We will talk with people about their stories. With our host Ramona, we're ready to start. Together we serve. Together we serve. Together we serve. Together we serve. Welcome to our show. Together we serve. Welcome to our show. Sit back and enjoy. Education, inspiration, motivation for business and life. With our host Ramona, we're ready to start.
Years ago, I hit rock bottom. I was broke, lost, battling addiction, and I felt like I had literally nothing left. What I didn't realize at the time was that the biggest thing holding me back wasn't my circumstances. It was actually my belief systems. I told myself I can't afford to change. I'm not good enough. And why am I even bothering to try again? Does any of this sound familiar by any chance? Possibly. I've learnt through my own journey, and now I teach Rams that it is not just about the challenges you face that keep you stuck, but it's how you think about them and yourself. Today, I'm here to tell you how to break free of that. Every time you let others choose and the limiting beliefs win, you pay a price. You stay in jobs, roles, or situations that actually drain you. You miss out on opportunities because fear keeps you on the sidelines. And worst of all, you chip away at the confidence and potential that really is you. Quick fix solutions, the coaching and leadership, they don't help either. I've been there. I spent nearly $1 million trying to find that one out. They focus on surface. They give you just enough to feel like you're moving forward, but in reality, nothing's really changed. This keeps you stuck in cycles of chasing results that truly don't last. Real transformation, real elevation comes from ripping off the band-aid, not leaving it on. It comes from looking inward and facing them beliefs actually head on and learning how to reshape them progressively and effectively. At Rams, we focus on measurable, lasting results, period. There's accountability, resilience, and creating legacy that actually lasts long after the program ends. My clients don't just achieve their goals, they write their own stories. I know what you might be thinking right now. I can't afford to invest in myself, or maybe I can figure this out all on my own. But let me ask you this. How many years have you already spent stuck in the same place, wanting the same things? How much more will it cost you to not just financially, but emotionally, to keep you invest in yourself? Investing in yourself isn't just about money. It's about deciding you're worthy of a life, of the life of legacy and impact that you truly want to create. Imagine this. You wake up every morning with clarity, confidence, and the energy. You're not just chasing goals, you're finally living them. Your work, your relationships, and your life are all aligned with your vision and the values that you truly stand for. That's what happens when you stop settling for less and start doing the real work. So if you're ready to break free of these limiting beliefs, stop chasing quick fixes, and finally create a legacy that you deserve, let's have a talk. Let's just have a conversation. There's a link below. Click it and book your free strategy call with me, and let's start building a plan together, as unique as you are, with all the potential you truly have. For myself, click on the link, see you on the inside, and I look forward to serving you. Have a great day.
Welcome to Together We Serve. Talk about service. Are you stuck? Do you have obstacles? You struggling? You want to be better? Well, you just listened to my guest today. We're going to talk about that, talk about burnout and how to be unstuck in many different things that we all deal with every day. This is not something that's half the population, a third of the population. This is everybody. I deal with it. You deal with it. But how do we overcome it? That's the key. We know it happens, but how do we overcome it? Let's bring my guest today, Baz Porter. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Steve. Thank you very much for having me. It's always a privilege and an honor to speak to you. I know your time is very valuable and busy, so I'm happy to be here.
I appreciate that. And you said service at the end of that nice video that you did, and that's why you're on. Let's talk about the RAMS framework. What is that about? What's the goal? I think it's an acronym for something as well, right?
Yeah, sure. The RAMS framework is quite simple. It's based on results. It's I'll go through the framework first so you can understand it, but there's subsections to it which I'm not going to bore you with. But it's results, attitude and authenticity, mastery and systems. And I looked at a lot of personal development frameworks in the world. I've been in areas and masterminds looking at these for quite some time now. And I realized that a lot of it was cookie cutter, it was superficial. And I wanted to deliver something from a very authentic place that actually helped other people from where I could understand it and have an understanding of, I know this works, this is where we're going to. But I had to focus on a result, an actual tangible thing that was measurable, the SMART acronym, and it was time-based. So that's where we focused on first. And then it goes attitude and authenticity. Is it real? Is it an alignment with who you are or who I am? And then mastery. That's continuous implementation of getting better and better, whatever that looks like in your life. And then the systems. This was based around relationships and having an awareness of what was truly working, what wasn't working, what the relationships were, and also how to improve them relationships. Now, relationships wasn't just about who you are dating, who you are associating with. We have relationships with everything, such as finance, your car, your family, your work colleagues, your peer groups. These are all relationships. But as always, there's always room to level up into that next area. So that's what RAMS does. But it comes from a place of me being my first client. So when I came here, I knew nothing, I had nothing, and I slowly built up a network, peer group, businesses. But it all started with a result. I had a dream, I had wanted something that was tangible, and to create from that place of authenticity and knowledge. So I built everything that I have from my own places of learning and falling fast in entrepreneurship. So I can generally say I was my first client, and everything that I do and teach and share with others comes from a place of I've tried, known and tested it myself because I know it works, or equally I know it doesn't work because I failed fast but I got up quick.
Yeah. I love that because the experience is huge when portraying to others. Hey, I've dealt with this. I hear, Steve, you're doing this. Here's how I took care of it. Voila, there's an answer there. Everybody can be a mentor. Leadership. You've been doing this 15 years, which is why I love having you on. You have that experience. What has changed over the 15 years in leadership development? What have you learned that can help people?
Wow, that's a huge question. Leadership has gone from the old acronyms of servant leadership, dictatorship, to an authentic place where Stories matter, i.e. your stories matter. And what I found changed dramatically in the leadership space, whether it be corporate or entrepreneurship or small businesses, is the bigger brands are no longer selling to most people because they're not selling a story, they're selling a brand, they're selling a result. What I find helps within leadership is the personal, smaller stories. There's an old saying, I'm sure we've all heard it, people do business with who they know, like, and trust. But there's also another level. People do business with people who they know they can get the result and have a story that they can align with. So storytelling in small businesses and leadership help align your clientele with who you truly are and that result. It's like a three bridging gap. Leadership has changed from a this is how you do it to let's do it together model. And that's what I kind of like about what's happening now in the space of leadership, small businesses, entrepreneurship, because the bridging gap between the storytelling, artificial intelligence, and the emotional intelligence is starting to come together. And it's quite powerful if you look back and see what's actually happening in phases of small businesses.
How does communities tie into leadership development?
Huge. You can't be a leader without community. You can't have a space on your own. Companies, businesses operate on communities. So without having a community or a database you can speak into that can resonate, you're just another person, and you might as well just be a solopreneur trying to push something that it's not working. So communities are huge.
Leadership too has been affected, all that you're saying, because of COVID and the isolation that we're like, humans can't be cooped up like that. Talk about how a leader can build these communities and keep people from being isolated.
First of all, I'm going to go through a few of the stats that actually happened in COVID. And divorce rates went up hugely. Can't remember the number off the top of my head. But the disconnection through COVID, the isolation was about 44% in total. And it had massive effects going forward. So the divorce rates went up, suicide rates, depression. There's so many things that happened. Communities were thriving, and it was internet-based communities, so like social communities. Fitness on the YouTube went through the roof. Families retired doing this. Literally, they just quit their jobs and started doing a fitness program on YouTube and completely changed their lives. Connection is everything. Love and the connection side of it are the thriving backbone of anything we do in the communities. But you've got to have a message, and that message doesn't have to be big. It can just be a show like this. We're connecting others with other information, and it can start very, very small. The community is based on a group of people going after the same area or the same sort of thought process because they believe in the same thing. Faith is done around this, and empires literally are built on a community. But the community has to have a backbone. They have to have a singular message, because what I find with a lot of people, they dilute their messages trying to serve everybody, not just one person. Once you have that message, go with it. Keep going with what you're saying and have a result at the end of it, so you're helping other people and you're bringing people into that environment. Podcasts do that. Small businesses do this. This show is doing this. Steve is doing this. And that's what I find really matters in the world is your message. Don't dilute it by trying to be somebody else. Stick with what you know and how you speak into it. And it's consistency after that.
Yeah. When we had you on my podcast, we talked about purpose, the why, all those different words that really mean the same thing. Two things. Being actionable about that, because Some people don't have a purpose. You come in, walk them through, find that purpose, find their mission, find their passion. That's one part of it. But the other part is, okay, this is my purpose. I never take action. How do you fix that?
It's a fear. It's basically not being able or being scared of stepping into what your dreams are, and actually you're doing yourself a disservice because you're going, oh, I'm not worthy of that. Mm-hmm. But that's one of our core fears. We have two main core fears in the world, and they aren't anything we're consciously aware of. It's basically the fear of being unloved and the fear of unworthiness. Every fear, every limiting belief around them can be tied back to one of either both of them or one of them. So when someone says to me, I don't know my purpose, or I'm scared to step into it, my response to that usually is your message too big or too small to be shared? Or what about yourself do you find not worthy enough to stand up and share it because you have a gift? And that gift is you. You don't have to change it. You need to realize it and step into it.
Yeah, and that stepping into it's so important. Like anything, you make a decision, you don't take action, the decision is worthless. It's just not going to go anywhere. And we're not going to get into this, only a 56-minute show. It could go hours on this. But with that, and you even have on your TikTok, CEO Impact, to serve, be a servant, to help people, to lead, you need an impact. A lot of people go, well, I want to send $1 million to a nonprofit to make a huge impact. Hey, love it. More power to you. But how many people can do that? A small amount. So that person goes, what do? I get this asked all the time. What would you say to somebody that says, I want to make an impact? What's your suggestion?
One of the smallest steps in the world could be one of the largest steps for somebody else. Your presence can make the impact. Your conversation can make the impact. Even your time is an impact. So it doesn't matter about sending the finance or $1 million or the huge thing. A single step is an impactful thing. Being there, able to hold space and listen, could be the difference between that person taking that leap of faith and doing what they're supposed to be doing in the world or not. Time is an impact. So define impact very carefully for yourself, because that holding space, that conversation, that decision that you make to hold that space, to have that conversation, to pick up the phone, could be the defining factor between changing not just one person's life, but literally millions. You don't know that until you take the leap, and it's usually a leap of faith. Yeah. So impact is time, but you've got to be aware that it's your courage that makes it happen.
Courage is a fantastic word, and faith, and there's a lot of words that come in. And I love what you said there, and that's where good coaching comes, is to get people to take that leap of faith, understand that leap of faith, understand all this. Not, hey, Baz, I want you to jump up and down 10 times and you're going to lose 100 pounds.
Yeah.
One, we know that doesn't work. One, two, that's not the case. You got to teach as you're coaching people through impact, right?
Indeed. I mean, you've got to, having a result of something doesn't mean you're going to get it. But having the consistency to say, oh, that's where I'm going, and having the courage to step forward and say, this is what we're doing, this is what we're speaking about, this is my experiences with what I've gone through. It's not going to resonate with everybody. And you're not supposed to resonate with everybody, because you're not supposed to be a people pleaser. You're supposed to be authentic. And authenticity is a part of stepping into what the disagreements are going to be, and you're not going to make everybody happy. You're going to come up with resistance. But the other side of that coin is, if you're not doing it well, you're not getting resistance. If you haven't got people who don't like you, you're not doing it well enough, because you're not going to please everybody. But you're not there to please everybody. You're there to help others. And it's a part of coming together as humanity, or a congregation, a community, and spreading that awareness with a ripple effect. You change one person at a time. And that's all you need to do to start that process forward to change many other people. And Russell Brunson, all the greats in the world have started from literally nothing. Russell Brunson, potato gun, as a kid messing about in the field, blowing stuff up. And now he's a billionaire and he owns multiple companies. There's case studies like that throughout the world. But he started with helping others, but he was feeding himself with a dream. He inspired himself with something he wanted to learn and love to do, and then he monetized it. And that's how you grow it. But you start with a singular thing.
Great point you made, Baz, about Russell Brunson. About they all started, we started. We all started at zero, whatever that zero looks like. And audience, once I understood that, game changer, people pleaser. I'm glad you mentioned that, because that was me.
Yeah.
My skin's crawling a little bit, because when you're talking about that, I try to please everybody.
Yeah.
And I got more people mad at me because I'm trying to please everybody, and you cannot. A servant heart, somebody that serves, you're not going to be able to serve everybody. You need a phrase audience I use is, what you think about me is none of my business. And that's what I really love about you. So when we talked, it's like, hey, I'm going to come hard, but I'm coming with my heart.
Yeah.
I'm not coming hard as a warrior to defeat you. I'm coming as a warrior, a heart warrior, to help you, serve you, impact you. You've been involved with some great people. You have a story or two of people you've worked with that the audience could hear and see the impact you've made?
Sure. A lot of the beliefs people have stem from experiences that they've gone through. One of the common things that I always hear is, I'm not good enough. I haven't got a message. I can't do this. And believe it or not, it comes from leaders that you would be pretty surprised about. They appear confident on the outside. They appear successful on the outside. But actually, behind closed doors, they're pretty upset and angry. And it's a shame when that happens, because they're actually dimming their own lights. But a common theme about people I coach are they're going into burnout, or they've experienced burnout. There's many symptoms to that. But the root cause of it is quite simple. They don't find their passion to be aligned with what they're doing. And they find themselves, as a result of that, being very angry. They find themselves having different addictions, whether it be drugs or alcohol. But they're addicted to dopamine in their phone mainly. And that addiction causes multiple side effects. But it starts with their own belief system of they're not good enough. I'm telling you now, you are, just the way you present yourself today. Don't think because something has happened to you in the past, or you believe something about yourself, you're not good enough. But the bottom line here is you are good enough, and you don't need to change. You don't need to give more to get more. You just need to be who you are in that authentic space. You are good enough. You are that person already, but it takes a brave, understanding soul to recognize that and then actually own it in its entirety without diluting yourself to fit someone else's narrative. And that's what I find about leaders happen today, because they're trying to be like somebody else or act like somebody else.
You didn't know I had a peanut gallery. I got a cheering crowd. That had to be cheered, because anybody can do that. And I love doing shows, and you're a pod. We'll get into your podcast in the other next segment. I had a guest on yesterday, and she said, everybody has a light when you take a breath. If you're taking a breath, you have a light. Might be dim, might be bright, but you have a light, which means you can come in, Baz, and say, I could take that light from a flicker to a flame.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How powerful is that?
Well, it's huge. I mean, that knowledge there is so powerful for the person receiving it. Mm-hmm. But equally, you need that guide to go, we see that in you. I know you don't see it at the moment, and we're going to get you there. And this is how we're going to do it. People like other people have been on the show. I've watched a few of them. They have so many powerful messages, but it all boils down to one thing. Is the person receiving it, you said it earlier, Steve, willing to accept it and then act on it to do something with it? And people who are guides, coaches, mentors, whatever you want to class us as, they help you remember that and then extract it out from you. Seeing the light's one thing, it's getting someone to go in and then come out with it and help you be the best version of yourself.
As you're talking, this is intense stuff. Good stuff.
Yeah.
But life can be intense, and you out there listening, I'm sure you've had your obstacles, whether large or small or in the middle. It doesn't matter. Where, like I said earlier, it's important that they happen. I talk to a lot of people, and I just dropped my microphone. See what happens when you do live? Because I'm so excited. I love what you're saying. The personal and the professional, especially as an entrepreneur, because that's a lot what you work with. Mm-hmm. There's no balance, but how do we manage that two areas of our life, which are two of the most important, our personal and our professional?
So one of the things I got to understand very, very quickly was the professional life is an extension of who we are. And we spend most of our time in our businesses and we're making money and doing the things that make the business go forward. But what I also found is if you start aligning both, you're actually never working. So like Steve's got a podcast, Steve's got a show. He's not actually working because he's loving what he's doing. He's working towards a goal for other people, which is serving others, but he's also doing what he loves. And the extension of what he's doing, of doing what he loves doing, is the result of the business, how he gets clients, how he serves other people, how he gets his message out. But again, he goes back into the community side of things because that's what he's building. If you start doing what you love and then monetize it or use it as a vehicle to make money, to have influence, give impact, you never actually work. You're constantly enjoying what you do. And that's partly what I chose to, the vehicle I chose to do was doing what I love, which is helping other people see their own authentic self, see how they want to be aligned with the bigger picture. But it doesn't just start with the business. The business is an extension of you. But find that vehicle individually. But to do that, find your passion. Find what you're truly, really turns you on. It lights you up. When you get up in the morning, bam, it's no getting up. Oh, I've got to get up. I've got to do this. I've got to do this. I'm up. Let's go. Once you hit that focus, you'll never, ever work a day. You'll never separate yourself of business and personal life because you do what you love to do. And then you amalgamate it and build a life around it. So you're never working. You're always helping and thriving in your own personal life and also your business.
It's important to do this, right? Because the CEO of a major company is going through a divorce. Well, his personal life just affected his business. How much, that's up to him and who he's mentoring him and he's working with. And then vice versa. You lost $1 million contract, which was going to change your life. You come home and, it could be tough. What's one tip you can give the audience when one of those scenarios happen? Mentally, what can we do? Or actionally, what can we do to make it so it's not as catastrophic as it could be?
So there's two things. You said one tip, I'm going to give you two. First of all, Step back. Just step back. Don't emotionally, we get sucked into it and it becomes the worst thing since time began. Two questions I always ask. One is it really as bad as it seems? Or is it something we're making more than it's making it out to be? Usually the answer is we're making it out more than it's to be. The second component is, what if this was supposed to happen? And that question, what if, changes everything. So you step back emotionally, it's not that bad. It may seem bad, and I'm not diluting anybody's situation right now. But what if it was supposed to be? What if there was another option? What if there was a different direction? What if there was a bigger opportunity? That question, what if, opens up so many other things around our own potential rather than the limited place that we find we're in pain in that moment. So we're not stuck in it. We step back. Okay, what if maybe this or maybe that? The possibilities start to come in.
The limiting, I love that you said that because we do it all the time. You, me, again, let's fall back. We're human. We're fallible. We're going to do things. I love that. And being aware, self-awareness is what you really teach too. When I first met you, that's what I got is, I'm going to give you a tool, Steve Romana. Be self-aware what you need, when you need it, how you need it, who you need it with. That's what you are as a great coach. Well, we're coming to a little break here. I want to give him some time. He's been talking a lot. Get some water. We're going to talk about his podcast, and he's got a really cool A Million Dreams Success Circle event that he's going to do. I'm going to show a portion of his podcast while we take a break. We'll see you all back in about 5 minutes or so.
Another episode of Rise from Ashes podcast. I'm your host, Baz Porter, and today I'm joined with an amazing guest. She's an influencer. She is somebody who has a vision for the future. Maya Gordon is my guest. Maya, please say hello and tell everybody what you do and where you're from.
Hey everyone, my name is Maya Gordon. I grew up in Seattle, Washington. I live in Birmingham, Alabama right now. Kind of headed on my way, moving over to Israel in the next couple years. And what I do, that's an interesting question because what we do changes a lot over time and sometimes is a little bit less relevant than, the core of who we are, which to me, what we do is should be a, product or expression of that. So for me, I'm a curious person. I love learning new things and I love challenges. And so that kind of combination pushed me into entrepreneurship. I dropped out of college after thinking I was going to be a veterinarian. I took one zoology class, got queasy cutting open worms and, kind of asked myself, man, how am I going to feel if I have to cut open someone's dog? I'm probably not going to handle that very well. Discovered this whole career path around copywriting, around marketing. I was really drawn to how words impact people was kind of the core of it. I grew up being an avid reader. My imagination was always something that felt as real, if not more real than reality. When I discovered keyword intent with Google AdWords, I thought, wow, the words we use have hidden intent. Started on copywriting, got tired of freelance work, decided to build a couple different companies, making a lot of mistakes with each one, kind of getting to a place where I realized, this company isn't something I want to do the rest of my life. So let me move on, start something new. I've always looking for that fit, that thing I want to do the rest of my life because it's beyond me. It's something I want to contribute my life to and be in service of. Where I'm at on that journey is writing books. I'm writing my first book centered around my nonlinear exciting life journey up to this point with the core theme of grit. What is grit? How do we develop it? Why does it matter? The main thing I'm focusing on right now is building online communities, working with people who've built huge followings on social media platforms or through their podcast or newsletters, and think about how do we, create a space where these people feel a deepening level of relationship and are able to self-evolve the community. A community is not where one person dictates, it's where members have agency in how it evolves and grows. That's something I'm really drawn to.
I love what you said about self-evolving communities. Now, you've had a lot of experience in building communities. What are the common failures that you have come across, not just in what you've done, but you're hearing from other people who are trying something similar in these sort of spaces?
Yeah, so first I'll say I'm only 33. I haven't had a lot of experience. Even 10 or 15 years isn't long. It's important to understand you don't start having deep insights until you're a decade into something. I've recently been intentionally building communities. I think I've accidentally built communities in my other businesses through my desire to connect people. People who care about connecting with others will naturally start to form a community. To answer your question, the biggest mistake is not caring enough. Building a community for an outcome that is, and I'm not saying that having measurable goals is bad. Those are tools. But if your goal is to accomplish a number and you don't have an intangible I don't think it's going to be successful long term. Communities have to be beyond the head. They have.
Well, I picked a pretty cool show. Boy, communities are huge. We were just about community, and sometimes the universe works in great ways. If you have any questions, want to reach out and connect, we'll get Baz's contact info at the end. If you need to reach out to me, the host, there's my information. Let's bring Baz back. Baz, loving the podcast. That's the second show I've listened to. Why'd you do it? What's Rising from the Ashes mean, and what's the goal of the podcast?
So thank you. And your podcast is absolutely amazing as well. The reason I wanted to do a podcast wasn't to get rich. It wasn't to have loads of guests on it. It was to actually get other people's messages out. I looked at a lot of the industry, podcasting and blogs and vehicles of that nature, and I realized that a lot of podcasts were just another sales machine. But I wanted to listen to other people's stories and learn at the same time. So I wanted stories that were resonating not just with me, but the possibilities of other different audiences. And going back to that stories line, it's not what my story is about, it's what your story is about. And A Rise from the Ashes came from my own journey, but everybody has a Rise from the Ashes story. Everyone goes through things in their life where they get knocked down. And it's no less important than yours or mine or someone else's. But what I find was people didn't have a platform where they could speak and speak where they felt heard. And one of the things Oprah said in her very early career was make people feel seen, loved, and heard and valued. And that's what I wanted to bring with Rise from the Ashes, was just that. And it's about other people's stories, other people's versions of events that happen to them, but also they have a free play or a place where they can get their story out and get seen in different ways. Blogs, there are hundreds, millions of them. Podcasts, not so many, and not so many good ones that really resonate with others. And they're usually sales machines or sales focused. It's things like Steve's podcast, which is why I like so much, and Rise from the Ashes is about you. It's not about the host or the guest. It's not about the host. It's about the guest and them getting their message out to the right people. And essentially, the right people are going to hear it and see it.
You said something I heard again this week from another guest, which is why I love having you guys on, is be seen. And that's what a servant heart does. That's what Together We Serve. Help people be seen. And when you do that, the gift you give is so powerful. Trust me, I'm seeing it. I know you're seeing it. We've talked about how we've grown kind of on the same path. We're aligned because we want to help people be seen. And does it cost people some? Most of the time, not. There's value to your coaching, to what I do, and that people are going to pay for it. That's part of life. I love that. Can you tell us a story of a great guest that you could think of off the top of your head and why they were such a great guest?
Sure. His name is Dov Baron. I think you're having a conversation with him.
Yeah.
He's completely amazing. He's originally from the UK, Manchester, traveled, very successful, broke his back, hell of a story. But his wisdom, his knowledge is not only helping himself run a very successful business, but he inspires so many people on stages and all around the world. What he does is so unique, but it's them stories of extreme, defying all the odds. I mean, coming back from a broken back, coming back from being broke, his own battle, internal battles within him. He's just one of so many other people. There was another guest, if I may share, who I didn't know at the time until I was interviewing her. She was a 5-time rape survivor. And because of that story she shared on that podcast, and I can bring it up for you, I'll show you that, she actually went from being scared to speak about it, to writing a book, to then traveling. She's now traveling and got her own agent. She's speaking on stages, and she's used it as a survivor moment to a thriving moment to help other people, and women especially, because that's who she's speaking into, who have gone through horrendous ordeals like that. When we were off air, she broke down. I broke down. I was like, holy crap, what the hell's going on?
Wow. That's
And she
awesome.
said, this is the first time I've publicly spoken about this. I felt seen, I felt heard, and I felt safe. And I was like, oh, and it blew me away. It changed her life, it changed her trajectory. And it wasn't again, it wasn't me coaching her. It was a space that she felt heard, seen, and safe in. And it changed her whole life. And that's why I like doing the podcast, because it has the potential of conversation, a meeting, an empowerment to change not just your life, but so many other people's. That's why I do it.
What's her name?
Alessa, I'll find it. I'll give you the link, Steve.
Yeah, we'll get the link on there. They can search it. I've got
Yes.
everybody, the podcast.
Yeah.
You'll find it there. One of my themes when I keynote speak is transformational, not transactional.
Mm-hmm.
That story of your guest is giving me chills because that's what happened. Is there a transaction? Who knows? Maybe. But the transaction that does happen is the universe. Because she broke down, you helped her without even knowing you were helping her. The universe loves that. An audience, you got to talk to the universe by serving and doing these things that Baz is talking about. Let's jump into what I'm excited to talk about is your A Million's Dreams Success Circles. Let me pull that up. Stop that. So that's, introducing that. Talk about this. There's a link to sign up, everybody. Talk about what you're doing here and what the event's all about.
Sure. This was a concept that I've always had. I had a vision before I even started a serious business when I was traveling and trying to help people, forming what I'm doing here now. But the A Million Dreams is about your dreams. It was about having a place where we could build and educate others, not just educate with business skills or sales, marketing, but the skills of life, and have a safe place where people can come and be valued for who they are. And it wasn't about my A Million Dreams, it was about yours. And the success circles came about by your success, because it's your message. It's going to change our future. We live in a pretty messed up world at the moment with so many things going on. I'm not going to even touch on that. But you have the potential to change not just your life, other people's. And the A Million Dreams Success Circles is about that, but doing it in such a way that's authentic and collaborating with the right people, not just anybody. So I'm looking for leaders, entrepreneurs, business owners, C-suite level, if such, to come in and actually learn and experience other people's experiences and knowledge in a centralized place and teach the skills such as the quantum physics, the energy, spirituality, business skills, marketing skills, sales skills, all of the entrepreneurial stuff. Everybody gets taught, but no one gets taught how to execute it professionally and authentically, so it serves not just themselves, other people. And that's what this exists for. And I've sort of collaborated with a few people, and I've got guest speakers coming in, people like Dov Baron, Steve, please come, I'd love you there, to come in and actually teach from an authentic place, but not from a now place, from a visionary place. Think about 10 years ahead. I want to teach from this point and work backwards from that point where we are now. This is what A Million Dreams is all about.
What's a couple of topics people are going to learn when they go to the event?
True leadership and what it means to you, how to scale it, business acumen. So when people say about, I want to run a business, or I want to be a speaker on stages, it's okay being a speaker on stages, but how do you actually become that? And there's so many skill sets and levels of doing that. Being a TEDx speaker, great being a tech speaker. Do you have a system to speak into an audience for 10 minutes that's going to go, bam, knock them off their socks? These are the skills we can teach you, the actual steps. And we're going to go at pace level, so we're going to go at the slowest person's level. Because people in a lot of bigger communities go at fast pace, which is fine, but you always leave someone behind. My thing is, let's bring everybody together at once, and then we start teaching the other and make different communities from that. So there's one centralized community. Let's build an entrepreneurial community that's concentrating on service-based businesses, and then build them skills out. Let's do a quantum physics, spirituality little cohort over here, and let's get the experts in there to build each other out, but they're empowering each other rather than just, I'm on my own and flagship and away they go.
Yeah. Taking care of people. I like that. That's a powerful event, because people are going to come back leave there with something tangible. And that's the important thing. We go to a lot of these events and it's more rah, rah, shish kumbah, and that's great. That's nice. But I want to leave with something I can use Monday after I leave the event, or Friday after whatever that event is, the days that it happens. One thing I got to ask you, and this is kind of a selfish question, but I think some of the audience, when I put you full screen, you've got that helmet to your left of your shoulder. It reminds me of 300, the movie, which is an incredible story. If you watch the movie, yeah, I love the fight and all that, but there's really a small army fighting a bigger army and working as community, as a team to fight off the event. I mean, they eventually lost, but they actually stuck together. Is that what that's about? Talk about the message with that helmet.
So it's twofold, actually. I use it as a prop sometimes when I go into conversations because it's a good talking point. Second, it's a reminder to me that everything happens and we do battle in different ways in life. And then battles can be small, they can be huge. But you're allowed to put it down. You don't have to fight that battle every moment, every day. And it's actually where I got it from is a place in Estes Park. I live in Colorado, and I love going up Estes Park. The manufacturer, it's real. It is actually like it is.
Let's steal.
Yeah. But the same company that makes these was the same company that did all the props in Lord of the Rings, in Gladiator. These are replicas, obviously. This isn't the real helmet for Gladiator.
Yeah.
But it's the same company. And when I saw it, I was like, that's a representation of not just me, but everybody that I've ever served. They're doing battle with something. And it's a permission to give that permission to put it down as well and be a normal human being. You don't have to fight the good fight 100% of the time. Give yourself permission just to relax and go, look, I'm human. And I need to have that side of me put down and be me for a little bit. And that's what it represents.
I love that because armies need to rest.
Mm-hmm.
You watch all the army movies, all the history about armies, they didn't fight 24/7. They took breaks and switched, and life is that way. We're going to have battles, big and small and little and big, and we can overcome most of them or all of them. It's fantastic. We're coming to the end here. We got a few more minutes. How can people reach out to you, connect with you? We've got the event. Maybe ask more questions about the event.
So LinkedIn is the best way to reach me. Just follow me on LinkedIn. I'm on Instagram as well. Just Baz Porter, I think it's on Instagram. I'm always open for a conversation. It's not about a transaction. I want to know if we can align, if we can help you. And it's about you and your story and where you're going. But if you want a conversation, just reach out, say, hi, I'm going through this. Can I have a chat? Me or one of the team will get back to you and say, yes, let's have a conversation. That's what it's about. I love speaking to people. I love having conversations. If it's about a podcast, let's have just talk,
Yeah. Yeah, you do. And he definitely, audience, he definitely lives that life of taking care of people. He's true servant's heart. Together We Serve is definitely part of his culture of him and his attitude and personality. And, everybody can have it, but you got to want it and you got to take action.
Indeed. Yeah.
So I like to end with a fun. We did it on the podcast. This question's a little different, but it's going to be a fun one, similar. So I've just reserved the Learjet for you. There's 4 seats. Of course, you're sitting in one of the seats. In the other 3 seats, dead or alive, who would you invite? Why would they be on that plane? And where would you travel to?
Egypt, where I'll be traveling to, because I love the pyramids. I think the history behind them is incredible. And they've got this conspiracy element of aliens, did they build them or not? So I'll geek out on that. Who's an interesting one? I think I mentioned this on the podcast, Abraham Lincoln, just for his knowledge and political oversight. Gandhi would be the other one, just because of his heart-centeredness. And probably Winston Churchill for his leadership. Right, wrong, love him, hate him. The sense of leadership and servant leadership to his people was immense. And I think that the collaborative effort of these 3 people would be an interesting conversation, going different time frames as well, and different sort of backgrounds and upbringings. I think diversity is good to have in any life. I think that plane trip, probably an Egypt with them would be pretty amazing.
I'd love to see Abraham Lincoln and Gandhi on a jet. That would be just the experience there. Like, where are we going? Yeah. But I love that because you're a leadership development. I knew you'd go there. They're all leaders in just different ways.
Yeah.
Gandhi silently, Abraham Lincoln humbly, Winston Churchill with some aggressiveness in a good way. Mm-hmm. And he was a great leader, but he said, hey, we're going this way. And did he do it from a wheelchair? Is he?
Yes.
Yeah. He was from a wheelchair. So guess what? You got a disability. I'm not being flippant about this, but don't let it stop you.
Nothing should.
Just don't let it stop you. Audience, we've come to the end. See you next week at 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern. Together We Serve. Please reach out to Baz. As you can see, he can help. And he's willing to help and put it out there. If you're interested in the event, reach out. And anything else, you can reach out to me. I'll put my email up one more time. You can reach out to me with any questions. And if it's information for Baz, you can't find him, I will connect you with him. Definitely. That's what I do. I guess they call me Super Connector. I'm not a big fan of that title, but that's what I like to do. And yeah, just a little bit. And with that being said, see you all next week. Everybody have a great day.
Thank you very much.